Can
Hello.
Hey, okay, it's
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
How you doing?
I am well. How are you? Look at you coming all early.
I well, I was already on Instagram and I saw that you were live, so I was like, well, I guess I could stop watching Ultraman for a minute.
Listen, I'm listening to the holiday the Temptations holiday station on Pandora.
Oh, you fancy.
Oh, that's fancy.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Yay. Okay. Everything. Let me see. Okay. Nope. 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 Okay. 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 Everything looks. Because the last time I did an Instagram live, I actually had my camera turned the other way. So I'm just trying to make sure
I see
thing is
you.
nice. Okay.
I
Okay.
see
Cool.
you.
Cool. Cool.
I
Thank you.
see you and I
Thank
hear
you.
you.
Yay.
Yeah,
You
I'm gonna
look,
give it
I was gonna say, you look radiant you look
oh,
radiant
thank you.
today.
It's the lighting.
You know what? You know what it is, because I'm not this light skinned. I'm a little darker than this. I'm a little darker than this. It's this light that's right in front of me. That's what this is. I'm a little nervous.
So how was your day? How has this Tuesday been going for you? Okay. You want to save it for the questions, or you want to
Oh,
do a prequel?
like okay, in one aspect, like the day is good. The day has been phenomenal, but I recognize that there's just this air of people wanting to operate in victimization,
Mm,
and that does not work well with
got you.
me. Like, I'm not the one for people to play victimization with. I'm really not. So, like, if you're going through something or if you have a problem, like, of course, we can sit down and we can talk about it. We can discuss it. You can have your vent moment, whatever. But that only lasts so long. I'm
Hmm.
always like, okay, so you had this moment. Are you reflecting on it? What does this mean about you? What does this mean
Hmm.
about your energy? How are you going to take what happened and move forward in your life? Did it shift your perspective on who you were and how you look at the world? Just stuff like that. I don't like sitting and waddling in depression and
Hmm.
victimization and woe is me and blaming everybody. Like, that's just not how I operate. And so when people want to do that with me, I'm just I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm not the one. Like yeah, we friends or whatever, but I'm just not the one for that. So, and that's just
Right.
what's been
Happening.
happening. And I'm like, y'all really trying to get me on this victimization boat, and I'm not getting on it. And so if you want to be mad at me and not be my friend and say all this bullshit, it is what it is. Sorry, not sorry. No, okay. Just yeah, I need to have a moment.
I get it. Come on, we understand. It's part of our de-stressing and releasing. You got to get all the toxins out. So come on, it's
And listen,
okay.
I've been like meditating and like doing all this stuff all day, and I like when I was in the shower, I was like, you know what I need to start work again, because everything is very reflective. So like
Hmm.
all of this victimization stuff is happening around me. And so I'm like, okay, what is my response to people, when this happens? And then
Right.
how do I move forward from this, after it is done, right? Because obviously, like I said, I meditate and things like that, but thoughts are thoughts.
Hmm.
And so, you trying to go about your day, but then that thought just hits you and you just like, God dang, like, you just get sort of pissed off at the situation all over again. So that's just what this is. You're right. It is that moment of release. It is that I do need to talk about this, especially as it relates to writing,
Hmm.
right? Because, the kind of writing that, or where I am in my life and the kind of writing that I'm doing, it is more so focused on, changing the narrative and, changing how people not only look at themselves, but how other people look at the people that I'm writing about.
Right,
And
right.
so, it's just, sharpening my tools and honing, my writing and honing myself to be able to say, okay, how do I want to tell this narrative? I can tell it this way for sure. And I can say, yeah, I'm pissed and I'm angry and y'all blah, 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 you know, need to stop coming at me with this victimization stuff. Or I could be like, you know what? I take this as a lesson
Mm-hmm.
to say, you know, I see the energy that's trying to come at me.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? That's cool, but I'm just going to redirect that into a whole nother dimension. Okay, as Sailor Moon said, back to the Negaverse.
I'll take that one.
But anyway, thank you for inviting me to come do this. I'm super excited. I'm extremely humbled and grateful that you have me on here. Like I said, I'm a little nervous, but
You're
I'm
nervous?
excited. Yes, like I don't get asked to do stuff like this very
But
often.
you
Like
do it for other people. How
I,
you
but it's a difference. Okay, it's a difference. Like I'm here and I'm gonna give you all the realness that you require and that you ask for, of course. But I'm still nervous. Like you know, like I said, like you know, as many books. Let me take that back. It's something that never gets old. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's always a first time experience for me because you know different people ask different questions
Mm-hmm.
or different
Mm-hmm.
people ask the same question, but there's a different energy behind it,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's like one person might get this very surface level answer because that's just the energy that is. But
Mm-hmm.
I know who you are and I know what you are requiring of me, and so it's like I gotta throw that out there on the table and be like, well, there it is. So that can be a little nerve wracking from time to time. But I'm here.
Oh,
But I'm here for it. I'm ready.
okay. I'm not. I'll try to. Well,
Don't
I
do
won't.
that.
Yeah,
Just
I won't make any
don't.
promises.
Mm-mm. I listen. I know how spirit works. Don't. Mm-mm. What will be and what is going to be will be and going to happen. So I'm here for it.
That's true. All right. Well, let's go ahead and officially get started. So, I'm Janae. My tag name is call me underscore Miss Royalty. And my guest today for our Let's Talk About It, We're Getting Personal series is
My name
Xzavier Simon. So I do have a question for
is.
you, but I'm gonna let you introduce yourself first, and then I'm gonna ask you a question in regards to your name.
Okay. Oh, I feel like I already know what that question
Yeah.
is.
Uh-huh.
So my name is Xzavier V. Simon. I'm a little bit of everything, to be perfectly honest. At the current moment, my life centers around writing and journalism under two things. One is Flint Magazine here in Flint, Michigan, and the other is owning and operating my own magazine, The Modern Queer, which focuses on queer people of color across the spectrum. Just providing a platform for them to be able to, you know, share their stories and share their lives with people across the world. So that is two of my writing capacities that I'm in. I also, you know, meditate. I'm a part of that spiritual lifestyle, you know, video game, anime nerd, K-pop guy. Just the list just goes on and on and on.
So I have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
I when we were growing up, we called you by a different name.
And we will not say that name live on Instagram.
Okay. So when was there a name change?
So I did not like my first name growing up, if you
Oh,
can believe that. And
really?
yes, I still particularly don't like my biological first name. My mother named me and my three other brothers after European kings. Um, but that's not why I don't like my name. I don't like my name because I recognize that as I got older and as I began to experience things, that name held a particular energy and it
Mm-hmm.
held particular experiences that
Mm-hmm.
at that time I was trying to run away from and sort of disassociate myself from. But now, you know, I just don't like it because I just don't like the name. But so I had multiple name changes. The first came when I adopted my middle name. When I graduated high school, I entered into what I call the gay world or the gay life, and so I went by another name to sort of give me a new identity, a fresh perspective, and even understanding that I was still bringing stuff from my childhood into this new life because I hadn't dealt with it. So that was the first name change, and then I sort of played off of my biological first name with a different name, But the name Xzavier was given to me by a group of friends in 2014. We were all, I was a part of this collective of people, or the school, if you have, that was focused on moving in a higher consciousness, Black and African consciousness and spirituality, and just a whole bunch of things like that. And so during this time, I had hair, and but I recognized that I was losing hair. And so I gave myself two options. I said, one, either I'm going to grow this out or I'm going to cut it all off. And I cut it all off at first. And I said, well, if I don't like it, I'll grow my hair back. But when I shaved my head, I was like, I look pretty damn fly. And my mom was like, you look kind of hot. And I was like, yeah. So when I went back to the meeting, everybody was like, oh my God, I love this new look on you. And I sat down at the computer to do something, and somebody was like, oh my God, you remind me of Professor X or Professor Xavier from the X-Men. And the name just kind of stuck. And which is so funny because even when I was in like middle school, if you remember Mr. Odom, he would always call me Professor. Like, so that was always a thing that was with me since I was young. And so then it just sort of came out again as I got older in life. And somebody was like, oh my God, you're the professor. Oh my God, Professor X. And everybody was like, oh my God, that's right. You're going to lead this. And so I just adopted it because, that was a name that was given to me by the community of people that I was in. I don't know a lot of people know this, but in traditional African culture, you're not given a name as soon as you're born.
Right.
The community gives you that name, right? Based on, the characteristics and things like that you exhibit. I think it's 7 days after you're born, you're given a name. And so, I took that to heart. You know what I mean? Like, here was a community that had known me for a good while and had watched my evolution, and that had bestowed upon me this grand name, right? Because when we think about Professor X from the X-Men, he led this group of mutant kids or mutant teenagers and mutant adults, to save the world and do all that kind of stuff. And you could say in a very real sort of way, that's kind of what I'm doing now. So that's where the name came from.
Oh, I like that. See, I never knew. It's just, we know you from, well, we know you. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, Xzavier Simon. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So is that like your official legal name now? Like on
No,
all
I
your...
wish. No, still my regular old biological one. Like, cause I figured after a while, like, I'm probably gonna drop the Xzavier name, and a new name is gonna be bestowed upon me by a different community. So,
Okay.
this is just the evolution of where I am right now in this moment. And I just roll with it. I'm rolling with it. I'm not attached to names or anything like that. So, if I'm Xzavier today and then tomorrow I'm another name, like on Facebook, everybody was calling me a different name, based on where I was in my life, So some people said, hey, such and such, or hey, Vanthony or Van, or hey, Xzavier, so it just depends.
Okay. DOP Noble says great origin story.
Yes, I know, right? Shout out to Dia Noble.
So now the questions,
Let's
right?
get it.
I don't have that many. I mean, I feel like as we talk and as we have conversation, you're going to pretty much get into this. So you are a writer.
I am.
I mean, you talked about the Flint side and the modern queer. Now there's some writers you didn't talk about, but we're gonna get into that later.
We gonna circle all back around.
Okay. So then my first question is going to be, what inspired you to start writing in the first place?
All right, so now I have to take you back to the childhood. Take you back. So, I grew up in a single parent household with 3 other brothers. So I'm the third of 4 boys. And how do I put, like, my home and my family life, little did anybody know, was extremely challenging. Like, I was going through a lot at home, but I loved school and I loved learning, and I was very extroverted. So when I went there, I was having a good time. Granted, I was bullied at school for being smart. My grandmother taught at Beecher, was why you talking white, why you acting white, all of these different things, especially as I got older and, I was wearing the Chinese and Japanese silk shirts, you know what I mean? Which I wish I could find those again. I was just different, right? And then I was also different in the fact that, I was coming into awareness that I was a queer Black man, right? So all of this was sort of happening at the same time, right? And so we ended up moving out of Beecher when I was about 8 or 9. Like we moved right across the street in the neighborhood where Brownell Home School was.
Okay.
But my mom would drive us back to Beecher or whatever school every day. And so when we moved, like I didn't have any friends or I didn't talk to anybody in the neighborhood because there really wasn't that many kids, if any, in the neighborhood at that time. So I became very secluded and very to myself. And so, a lot was going on. I was thinking about it a lot. Like I said, I had family problems and things of that nature. Like me and my mom wasn't vibing very well at that time. So I remember my mom was picking me up from school one day and she handed me this journal. Like I got in the back seat and she was like, here. And back in the day, we used to have like them book fairs and whatnot, right? So she had little did I know, she had bought this journal for me at this book fair. And I love this journal. Like it was a very basic journal, but it had the moon and the stars and clouds on it. And the color was midnight blue and I loved it. And that became my outlet to talk about, who I liked, the girls I liked, the boys I was having crushes on, but didn't know I was really about to really start falling for them. Just my weirdness and like in video games and anime and trying to understand the world and, asking those really deep philosophical questions at 9 years old, which I look back, I'm like, what the hell? But that's what playing Japanese role playing games and watching anime like Inuyasha and Sailor Moon and Escaflowne, like all that kind of stuff will sort of like hit you and have you really thinking and contemplating what is life, who is God, who am I? You know what I mean? So that's all I was writing about in those journals. And of course, my hate, the hate that I was feeling for myself, the anger that I was feeling towards everything that was going on. So that's what kickstarted it all.
So it was the journal.
It was the journal. It was the journal once. But I had always liked English and English and writing and language arts. That really that love really fostered in 6th grade with Miss Zena Franklin, and then just exploded with Christine Allman. Like it exploded. So it was writing, language arts, and reading and foreign language. Like those two things were like top tier for me, and that's what really kept me going.
So you mentioned how like you were bullied for being you. Like how did that affect? I mean, I know you were a child, but even into as you matured and became a teenager, even an adult, like how did that affect you, like mentally, emotionally, or did it affect you mentally and emotionally at all?
Girl, fucked me up. Okay, fucked me up because I'm growing up, right? And I'm in a community of people who are Black, who look like me, same skin tone, maybe just a little bit darker, a little bit lighter, right? When we all live in the hood, we all going to the same school, we all living in the same neighborhood, right? But because of what my interests were, and who I was as a queer individual, like Beecher at that time was very closed-minded. Like there weren't a lot of different sort of people, and I was a very visible kind of different. And so I tried to reconcile with it. I never felt Black enough for the Black people, and never felt white enough for the white people, and never Asian enough for the Asian people. You know what I mean? And so it was just like, or straight enough for the straight people, or gay enough for the gay people.
Somewhere
so
in the middle
like
everything.
I was just somewhere in the middle, and it really messed with me mentally. because I had this warped sense of who I thought I was.
Mm.
And I struggled with that for years. So like I started getting bullied in elementary school, right? Like I did not really start to understand who I was and really deal with a lot of stuff until I was 24.
Oh, wow.
Right.
So
Right.
what was the catalyst for that? Like, what inspired you to actually do that kind of self-reflection and say, yo, this is who I am, this is who I'm going to be?
So number one was writing. So writing kickstarted that.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I was, going through all of this stuff and thought about killing myself and was real depressed and, having anxiety and panic attacks and all of that kind of stuff, right? Like I still had to be me. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like I may have dumbed it down a bit, but I never stopped being me. Like I never stopped watching anime. I never
Mm-hmm.
stopped playing video games. I never stopped wearing those silk shorts or anime apparel or any of that, right? Like, and I always wrote. And I wrote about every experience that was going on in my life. And so, especially in high school when, you know, it everybody found out, well, basically I was outed, basically,
Mm.
for lack of a better word. And I was very alone. Like I had no friends in high school except my best friend, who's still my best friend to this day, you know. So all I had was me and my journal me and my writings for years. And so what happened was, and this is one of the very phantasmal anime moments of my life because I have plenty. I met my BFF in the whole entire world. Her name, everybody might know her. Her name is Dr. P. Yes.
Yes.
So I was having a rough time in my life, a super rough time. And she was working at U of M and she said, come on up to my office. I want to talk to you. I want to tell you something. I want to talk to you. I was like, okay, cool. And I wrote about this moment because it was that impactful. And I got in there and she said, there's something about you that's different. You've
Mm-hmm.
always felt different your whole life. You've been this, you've been that. Now, mind you, I've known her, but I didn't really know her like that. So when she
Mm-hmm.
was saying all this, I was like, how the fuck does she know all this, right? And so then, it was one of those moments in anime where it was like, you lost in the woods and then that spiritual guide just descends from literally nowhere and just start telling you shit and you just like, and then you like, please teach me, master, like something like that. Like, or like, I have this desire to be stronger, be a better version of myself. And like this teacher arrives. And so she really took me under her wing and really offered me in a real sort of way, like a Matrix red pill, blue pill kind of affair.
Mm.
And it was like, you can keep going down this path you're going. Because at this time, I was trying to graduate from U of M Flint in elementary education, which was a
Mm-hmm.
horrible experience.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
Extremely
Yeah.
horrible. And I was extremely stressed because of the lack of support that I was receiving. And a whole bunch of other stuff. And so she was like, you can keep going down this path, or you can come to this meeting that I hold on Sundays, and you can see if you fuck with it or not. These are my words, of course. Like if you fuck with it, cool. But she basically offered me a different way of seeing and viewing life and reality and who I am. And so I went. Again, it was another one of them anime moments where they was talking about meditation and crystals and spirituality and consciousness. And it fucked me up because again, I'm watching anime as a kid, right? Like I'm watching Yu Yu Hakusho and Gundam Wing, or like I said, Escaflowne, or Kaikader, or Cyborg 009, like these very philosophical animes. And I'm playing these very philosophical video games that's talking about all of this stuff, right? And I'm like, here is black people, a collective of black people that are talking about these same
Same
things.
things.
And I'm like, I'm not crazy. Like, I'm not weird. Like, I'm me. And so I started learning how to meditate.
Mm-hmm.
which was phenomenal because once I really started learning how to meditate, you talk about I was like all over the place. It mellowed me out. Like I learned how to manage my stress. I learned how to manage my thoughts. I learned how to manage my emotions because I'm a Cancer, and I was a Cancer who grew up and got fucked up a lot. And so, I'm lashing out. I'm angry. I'm crying all the time. I still cry all the time, but for different reasons.
Crying is healthy. It's good.
Yeah,
It's
crying
good
like
release.
yeah, it is, and I love to cry. Um, but I was going through all of these things, and meditating really allowed me to not calm down and sort of manage all of that. But the hilarious part about this or the gotcha moment was meditation just wasn't a vehicle to calm me or mellow me out. It opened spaces in me that allowed me to start looking at myself and the issues that I was having. You know what I mean?
Some
Like
self-reflection, huh?
little do people know, like that's the true, in my opinion, that's the true aspect of meditation. Is yes, it's meant to calm you down. Yes, it's meant to clear your thoughts and things like that. But for me, meditation was the vehicle where I could go inside, I could hear my voice, I could listen to my body, my thoughts, my spirit, and begin to heal and process. And I had a space with a group of people that allowed me that space and that opportunity to heal and gave me that support, which I had never had before. Never, not even from my own family. I never had that before. And so that support with meditation, with already my idea of writing and just writing, like all of that created this extremely deeply reflective individual that you see that's talking to you right now.
And we
Like,
appreciate it.
I went through everything. Like I had to deal with my family. I had to deal with, school, being outed and all the anger, deal with issues with my father, deal with my sexuality, which turns out I really wasn't gay. And I was like, ugh! Like,
What?
yes, that's what I'm saying. Meditation is real. Like, I recognized that I had created so many walls and barriers and defense mechanisms because I had been triggered all my life. Like I'd never had a stable environment. And so I'm trying to protect myself. And so I have been bullied by women a lot, especially women at home, my family. So in my mind, I'm like, well, women love gay men. And so in order to gain women's acceptance, I'm going to be a gay man. Now, when I say that doesn't necessarily mean that I never was going to like men, because I always was. But the transition sort of happened more quickly, and I guess you can say maybe a sense of less naturally than it was supposed to, because I utilized it as a defense mechanism instead of using it to just live and be free. They ain't gonna tell you that.
Man.
They're not gonna listen. The queer folk ain't gonna tell you that shit, but I'm gonna tell you that.
DP Nope said mindfulness. Yes, she said that's deep. That is like that literally, because that affects your entire self view. Really, it's just like this is how I present myself, but it's all a defense mechanism. How was that breaking all of those walls down? Because that's a lot to handle. I mean, you've basically been lying to yourself. Here's the thing. This is so interesting. I'm going to come back. I'm going to bring this full circle, I promise. I went to BlurredCon this weekend, by the way. I think I had a wonderful experience. I feel like all Black people should go at least once in their lifetime. But I went in one of the creative writing sessions. They had panels, and the man talked about like this process of the character development. And he said, when it comes to your main character, because someone asked a question about this, and he said that every character has a lie that they have believed or accepted for one reason or another. And the journey of developing that character and usually the story behind it, whatever their story is that you're writing, is a matter of exposing that lie, getting to the root of that lie, and then their journey of overcoming that, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
so it's
yes, yes,
like
yes,
that's
yes.
basically what you're saying happened, is that
Yes.
you recognized the lie and
Yeah.
went through this process of dismantling it so that you could acknowledge what the true you was and then start
Hmm.
living in that truth. So how was that? What was that process like? I mean, because that's deep, you know what I
Listen,
mean?
and listen, that's not the only deep thing, okay? That's just one deep thing in a long laundry list of deep things, right? Like now, so and so it was all of these things in full circle. But it wasn't just that. It was when I had looked in the when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see a black man. I saw a white man
What?
because for so long I didn't believe that I was black.
Oh my
Because
goodness.
growing up, no, I never fit in with black people. I didn't know that the diaspora of blackness was so broad and so range,
Mm-hmm.
because all I'm focused on is Flint, Michigan, is
Mm-hmm.
Beecher, is U
Mm-hmm.
of M Flint, right? And so, I had to reconcile myself with that. I had to reconcile myself with my queerness, that I don't just love men, that I love women, because I had been with a woman and I fell in love with her. You know what I mean? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
had to recognize that, especially with writing, that I was being too stagnant. Like, I was only focused on being an author. But there was this broad range of things that I could do with writing. I could have been a
Mm-hmm.
playwright. I could have went and wrote films. Like, I didn't even think about journalism. Well, I did, and that's what I said I wanted to do, but like I wasn't actively pursuing that. I was so focused on writing books.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had recognized the lie was that I had boxed myself in. And the lie is that I was so much greater and grander than this box. Now you ask me, how was that process in dealing with that? Rough. Rough, 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 rough.
Come on, give me
It
some details. Let me hear.
it was, you talk about crying, you're talking about having to look in the mirror every day and say to yourself, this is not who I am. This is not
Mm-hmm.
who I know I am. This is not who I know myself to be. Talking about having to deal with the fallout of friends and family because they have locked you in a particular box of their
Mm-hmm.
own, right? And now you're coming out of nowhere talking about, I'm not in that box no more. Don't put me in
Right.
that box. This
Right.
is not who I am. I'm this. I'm that. I'm everything. You know what I mean? I'm continuously and constantly evolving and re-evolving and shifting and shaping. And so it was dealing with, well, why don't I have any friends anymore? um why relationships, right? Like the things that I used to do in the past I don't do now because I
Mm-hmm.
took that time to excavate. And so I spent years doing, mind you, I spent years doing this. Like I said, ever since I was 24, so this is 2014 up to present. So it's been years doing this. And 3 of those years, from 2017 to 2020, I spent the majority of those 3 years in solitude.
Mm.
Like, with no job, no money, no friends, no internet access, no cell phone. Well, I had a cell phone, but I didn't have no service, so I couldn't pay the bill. You know what I mean? Like, no car, no nothing. It was just me.
Wow.
And all I had was me, a backpack with my laptop, a notebook and a pen, and my Nintendo Switch at the time, and a suitcase full of clothes, and myself. That's all I had from 2017 to 2020. That's it. And every day I sat and dealt with something new that arose, whether it was
Wow.
dealing with family issues, whether it was dealing with, again, my sexuality, relationships, how I'm looking at life, money. Oof, oof, that one was real.
Mm.
Oof. Money, obsession with sex, how I even look at sex, what is sex, why do I feel like I need sex in relationships, my relationship with social media, you know what I mean? Just, I spent all of that time going through all of that, and I wrote about it. I wrote all of it out. That's what's chronicled in my first 3 books, One Way Alley, Oxymoron, and 1111, is my life from age 16 to 27. Just excavating all of that and putting that out there. Why? Because God was like, I'm going to need you to write about that. I'm going to need you to put that in book form. And you have no idea what this is going to do for you later on in life. And I'm like, why I gotta go through this? Why I can't go outside and have fun? Why I can't do this? Why I can't do that? But I'm so appreciative of that journey. I'm like, I wouldn't be able to do what I do now without all of that. You know what I mean? Like, to be able to, and I wouldn't know who I am.
Right.
And that's the key thing. Like, I know who I am now because I spent time with myself and got to know who I am away from everything and everybody. And it was transformative. Like, it was hard, but I wouldn't take it back for anything in the
I mean,
world.
it sounded like it. I'm like, man.
It was hard. It was rough.
I mean, was that an intentional process though, being completely cut off from everyone else, or that just kind of happened?
Yes and no. So it was intentional in the aspect that this is what God's spirit universe was telling me to do, what my spirit was telling me to do, was step away from everything and deal with yourself. Sit your black ass down and deal with you. This ain't about your mama. This ain't about your grandmama. This ain't about your friends. This ain't about your daddy. This ain't about your relationships. This ain't about your career, your job. This is about you. Because if you don't know who you are, you allow other people to come and push who they think you are onto you. And you open yourself up and allow yourself to be susceptible to anything that's happening out here in the world. Like, I look at my grandma all the time, like, no, true, but let me backtrack. When we was locked up in quarantine, right, I remember everybody was watching the news, everybody. And I remember taking a step back and I said, we motherfucking being brainwashed. Like, now we stuck in the house, glued to our devices.
Yep.
Nope, like, when we really should be taking that time to deal with us, now that we have an opportunity to really do that, but we glued to the television. We glued to our phones. We glued to our laptops, our video games, trying to cope with just being in the house, which is understandable in one aspect. But I'm like, there's so much more we could have done as a people to push forward a greater energy than what we did. But I digress. Okay, I digress.
I mean, that was good. I mean, that does make sense. I mean, I believe that. I mean, a lot of people have come out and said how this time of the pandemic has actually provided a lot of opportunities because people had time. You know what I mean? People had time to dive into areas that they just didn't have time to do before. So I get that. You know what I mean? But doing self work, I mean, let's be fair. People had time to do stuff, but don't nobody want to do self work because that's work.
That is
and
work.
It's like that requires a lot of being honest with yourself about yourself, addressing yourself to fix yourself. And it's like that can be
it's rough,
especially when you're doing it by yourself. I guess it's one thing when you're guided through the process, and it's another thing when you're kind of going solo. To each their own. Everyone's process is different. But I was going to ask you that.
Literally.
So I'm sorry, I don't want to miss the comments. I'm seeing people, hey,
Oh,
Blueprint 2. Yeah. And I see Swiss Sparrow said, I'm one with school and dealing with me. I'm like, yes. And so it's
okay.
just like, I get like some people, it helps them to have someone guide them through that process. But with you, did you ever seek like professional help during that process? Like, was there ever a time where, well, you mentioned your group, your circle that really helped with your process, but outside of that, was there any other, like, did you like ever go to the doctor or the doctor ever ask you and you admitted to them like, yo, I'm dealing with something, I got a problem, I need help?
So no, but
Okay.
so when I was a kid and I know and I was dealing with things, depression and anxiety related to, my seeing my father for the first time and the bullshit that was.
Mm-hmm.
I went and told my mom. I said, "Hey, mom, I think I need to go to counseling." And my mom turned to me and she said, "Well, that's going to be a waste of time because I'm gonna have to be in the room. And so if you can't talk to me, you're not gonna talk to them with me in the room."
Oh.
So that's what she said. So I left it alone. So that was the first time. The second time was when I was 22 and I had just broke up with the second love of my life, and I was dealing with that and dealing with school. So all of that was happening at the same time. And for the first time since I had been 14, 15, I had suicidal thoughts again. I was 22.
Oh.
And I was like, I remember it perfectly. I was depressed. We had just broke up. I was smoking a lot of weed and eating a lot of food. I had gained a lot of weight.
Okay.
I did. I ain't even gonna hold you up. It was rough. And I remember I was laying on the couch and I called my mom. My mom said, "Well, what's wrong?" I said, "I'm depressed and I'm sad and I don't have any money to pay my rent." And so my mom is like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna call you back." And now, okay, all of this is making my mom sound like a horrible person. And
I
I
understand.
recognize later on that my mom is a human being. But
Yep.
these are just the facts of the matter. Like, this is
Yeah.
just what happened. Um, and I remember when she hung up the phone, I lay there on the couch and I cried. I just bawled my eyes out. And so that was that. So I ended up going to enlist in counseling from U of M Flint.
Okay.
And I remember I walked in that office and I filled out that thing and I was trying so hard to keep it together because I was like, I can't believe I'm really in this motherfucking place answering these questions. Yes, I'm depressed. Yes, I have suicidal thoughts. Yes, I'm smoking hella weed right now because my man just broke up with me. He don't love me right now. And I like, it was a mess. And I had a first counseling session with her and it really didn't do anything.
Mm.
Like it really didn't do anything. Um, so that was the second time. So after that, like, and what you said is correct. To each his or her or their own journey, right? Because for me, what I recognized in me was that there was a strength in me that I didn't even know that I had, and there
Mm-hmm.
was a tenacity and a willpower to never give up. And
Mm-hmm.
again, all this sounds very anime-ish. All these tropes are so anime-ish, but they're so true for me. Like I recognize that I was stronger than what I thought I was.
Mm-hmm.
Especially once I recognized and the power that writing held for me and the power
Yes.
that meditating held for me. Those two things alone was my therapy, was my therapist, was my psychologist, my psychiatrist. Those things became that for me. Like, so I didn't need to go see anybody because I recognized for me that doing these two things and some other things, allowed me the opportunity to process my
Mm-hmm.
emotions, to be able to take an objective stance and say, yeah, you was a predator in that instance. Okay, you need to deal with that. You got predatory energy going on. And I'm like, I don't want to admit that. And it's like, But you just wrote that shit out. You got predatory energy going on.
Wow.
And I had to cry that out. I had to cry and admit to myself that at one point in my life, I was a predator, a sexual predator. And I was like, okay, I accepted that. But I didn't dwell in that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I had enough tools through meditating, through visualization, through writing, through affirmations, because we talked about that when I interviewed you, through affirmations, that these things was not indicative of who I am and that I could change. And that who I was then is not who I am now, who I was moving towards being. And so for me, I didn't need any of that. I was strong enough on my own to where I could mitigate it and handle it, write it out, cry it out, go for a walk in the park, go for a drive around the city, play some video games to calm the hell down and try it again. And again, this is gonna sound cliche, but I really do thank anime and thank video games, because I saw in these shows like the tenacity, the strength of will, the strength of mind, the power of the emotions and friendship and love. Like I saw what that, it's cliche, but I saw what that did for them in them shows and the people that they evolved into by the end of the show, by the end of the episode. And I'm like, that could be me. That's me. I'm having my own experience with this. And so if I just keep at this, if I keep going, if I don't give up, if I can take a break. Cause
I can take you take a break, you just can't quit, right?
I can take a break. I can't quit though. I can take a break. I can, go do something else for a day or two and come back to this. I can give myself time to heal. Like again, this happened over years. This wasn't something that happened in a month or 6 months or 1 year, right? Like this was a continual journey every day since 2014. And so when people want to talk to me about victimization and want to be mad at me about shit, I'm like, y'all don't even understand what I've been through. One, because I'm not shoving that down y'all face.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not dwelling on that anymore, because I know now that if I would have kept dwelling on that, I wouldn't be where I am now. You know what I mean? And I had beautiful examples, at a time when I didn't have as many people around me or any people around me during that 2017, 2020 period. I knew that on some level I was still covered in love.
Yes.
And the people that I had left behind, because I had left Michigan during this period and was traveling. That was a whole other journey.
Okay.
I was still in love. Like I still had friends who loved me enough to let me go have this journey by myself with God. You know what I mean? And that was another thing that gave me support and kept me going. So did I need it? No. Do I recognize that that's not for everybody? Yes. If you need to go seek help or seek counseling or whatever, go do that. As long as that resonates with your spirit and who you are and where you're at in your journey, cool. Please go do that. Please go do whatever is in your most optimal.
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Fuck what I say. Fuck looking at my life. Because it ain't about me. It's about you, boo-boo. What do you want to do with your life?
Right. Do what's best for you.
Do what's best for you.
Absolutely.
But that be triggering folks, or
well, you know what it is. A lot of it is because people are told, the antecedent is usually you can just pray it away, or you don't need therapy because we Black, or there's usually that type of negative kind of exactly.
It is.
But it's still different than, I believe, in your position where you recognize there were aspects of you that needed to be addressed, and you started that process. So it's one thing when you choose to start a process. It's another thing when you, and like, I don't want to say willfully ignore it, but you basically are just like, I'm not going to deal with it, So I get it. Or you're at a point where it's like, I know that there's something going on. I'm just having some challenges with figuring out how to go about it. So I do believe
Which
it's,
is fine. Which is
yeah,
totally
everyone's
fine.
process, it just depends on where they are and whatever they need to facilitate their process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I get it, especially when there's so much of a negative stigma attached,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, to it. So I definitely understand.
Totally.
That just proves that there's more than one way to really, you know, have that kind of revelation and realization and evolutionary process, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I respect that.
again, for me it came from anime, video games,
Mm-hmm.
African consciousness and spirituality. That's where it came from for me. That might not be for everybody. Somebody
Right.
might find it, like I know people who have found it through taking acid and LSD and smoking weed. You know what I mean? Like real shit, like it's real shit. Like that's how they found their way in enlightenment and began dealing with themselves. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like um my best friend, for example, it took her father passing away for her to sit down and start dealing with herself and recognizing, the things that was going on in her life. So it's different triggers for
Mm-hmm.
different
Mm-hmm.
people that
Mm-hmm.
that bring this up. Another friend of mine, who is now in New York, what triggered his whole transformation was, he had got raped. You know what I
Oh,
mean? And
yeah.
so for him caused him to be like, okay, that was the catalyst.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just different things for different people.
Right. Man, that's crazy. So like, and I know you may have said this in a different way, but I want to
Hmm.
ask it of your journey, your entire process.
Hmm.
Well, two, what was the most challenging aspect of the entire thing? And then the second thing is of it all, what like key points have you learned that you would share with other people that may be dealing with something similar?
What was the most challenge? Girl, all of it was challenging. All of it. What was the most? Okay. If I had to make a top 5 list,
Okay, there we go.
probably the most challenging number one was having to do it by myself.
Okay.
There was a lot of times where I wish I could have called somebody
Mm-hmm.
or I could have went over to somebody's house. Now, make no mistake, I appreciate the fact that I did it alone. It was just me and God, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
God was telling me to do. That I needed that experience, and I'm so grateful and appreciative for it. Make no mistake. But were there times where I was like, I wish I could call my best friend. I wish I could get in my car when I had a car and, go over to my friend's house or get on social media and just let the world know that I'm going through. Yes, it was an extremely lonely process and lonely time. And not only that, I could not relate to nobody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's what made it even more lonelier, right? Because everybody is, or I want to say, I'm seeing so many people just go to work or get in relationships and having sex and getting married and their careers is taking off and they, having babies and they traveling all over the world and all over the country
Yeah.
and, they making money and X, Y, and Z. And I'm stuck in this room, like, or I'm stuck in this house or this apartment or wherever I was at the time, dealing with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so having to deal with all of that alone, that was challenging. The next thing would be dealing with me, like dealing with my shit and really acceptance and admitting and moving forward. Like I struggled with that on so many different issues. Like even to this day, I'm especially with my sexuality, I'm still having to process that most of the time. I'm be like, okay, so what am I today? Because I don't know. I don't know. So that that was a major thing in itself. Having to forgive,
Oof. Woo!
like forgive me for the shit that I did to
Yes.
me and to other people, having to forgive past relationships, having to forgive my family for the shit that
Ooh.
wow.
Well,
Like,
that's a
and
whole different topic right there on just
that's
forgiveness.
because y'all don't know. Like, y'all don't know. Like, that forgiveness piece, uh, and really understanding really understanding that the adage that everything happens for a reason. Really understanding what that means on a very deep interpersonal level, and recognizing and accepting that had I not gone through these things, I would not be where I am today. I would not know who I am. I could not be able to love in the way that I love. I could not and would not be able to maintain the deep level of friendships that I have now because of that, right? I would not be able to stand up for myself. Right? Like that, like to gain confidence in myself and stand up for myself when for so long, so many people, really mainly my family, was just like talking negative and talking down upon me, to really be able to look in the mirror and be like, no, I'm not stupid. I'm not a failure. I'm not a mistake. I'm not this. I'm not this. Actually, motherfucker, you the shit. You the bomb. Look at you, killed that. You killed that. You done wrote these books. You done traveled all over the country. You done taught. Okay.
I
Okay,
mean, come on,
I'm
list your
having a moment.
resume.
I'm
That's what
having a
it
moment. You
is.
know, I'm like, and I laugh about, like, I taught at Georgetown University for 2 summers and taught kids from all around the world. I know the son of the I know the prime minister's son of Iraq. Like, I taught the Jordanian royal family. Like,
That's something that you should be proud of.
I am, but it took me a minute, right? Like, it took me a minute to really like own those experiences, right? And that's another thing, like owning these experiences, not from a place of ego, not from a place of saying this and owning this so I could get external validation. You know, saying these things from an internal place of, motherfucker, I'm the shit. Like, you did that. You did that. Look at you. You did that. And because you did that and that and that, you can do this and this and this. And I was like, yo, look at me. And that's how my confidence grew. That's how, you know, that just so many things grew, because of all of that. And, a last thing on that list of things that was so hard was fucking validation. Trying to validate myself and not seek it externally.
Oh, wow. That's a good one.
Because we live in a society that everything is external from us. We seek validation on social media. We seeking validation from our friends. We seeking validation from our family, our coworkers, our job. We seeking all of these things to make us feel whole and complete. You know what I mean? I had to find that within. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't, when I looked in the mirror and I wanted to be like, damn, I'm fine. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't call my best friend and be like, girl, am I fine? Am I okay? You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't do that. I had to look in the mirror and be like, you a fine ass black man right now. Keep doing that. You know what I mean? Like, I could, like, all of my books, and what helped me was writing books, because a lot of the books wasn't selling.
Well, go ahead, keep going. Go ahead, keep going.
Like, a lot of them books wasn't selling. It looked like they were selling. You know what I mean? But when I was checking my rap sheet, they wasn't selling. And so I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm a failure. I'm this, I'm that. And it was, stop thinking that you need other people to validate your work and who you
Yes.
are. Regardless, and so these are lessons that God is telling me in these moments, right? The validation comes in the fact that I did it.
Yes.
Not in the fact that anybody bought it, not in the fact that anybody recognized it, not in the fact that anybody can say what I did was a good job. The fact that I said I wanted to write a book and I did it, that is all the validation I ever need.
Yes. And you did it 3 times.
And I
What?
did it, look, at this point, several.
Man.
That validation piece was incredible. Incredible. Like, I can't begin to explain like what that did for me, because now all of the work that I produce, yes, I put it on social media because that that's just part of the game at this point.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't give a fuck if I don't get a like or a share or anything like that. I don't care, because I know internally that the work that I did and the work that I produce is bomb as fuck. You know what
Yep.
I mean? I'm sitting, listen, I'm sitting right here in this, and where I'm at in this chair with these glasses on, click, 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 like scrolling, like click, 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 click. This shit is bomb. What the fuck?
I love this confidence. Yes.
Like, you gotta have it. Like, I had to
Yes.
have it. I'm like, sitting here with my Modelo, and maybe my buzz, the drunken state, like, Xzavier, you did that shit. Look, what? What? I can't wait to put this out. I'm reading my own shit like, yes, 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 yes. You see how I laid these photos out right here in this page? It's amazing. Like, I had to be my own biggest hype
I was
man.
just about to say that.
I
Yes. Be
had to
your
be
own
my
hype
I
person.
had to be my own hype man. That's why I can be everybody else's hype man. That's why I'm always hyping people up, because I had to be that for myself.
Yes.
And I'm still that for myself. And it's so empowering, and it's liberating. Like, I don't need you to tell me that I'm the shit. I know I'm the shit. I feel
Right.
I'm the shit. Some
Right.
days do I feel more the shit than
Than
others?
others. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. But even in my lesser shit moments, I'm still the shit. We had this conversation when, I was interviewing you about going through this whole journey, right? And you see I have on this gold chain. So for those who are watching, I explained this to you before, but for those who are watching, I never wore gold in my life. I got gold earrings too, got this black and gold thing on. I never wore gold ever. I did not want to be a hood nigga. Like, because all I saw was niggas in the hood with gold on, with blinged out and all that. It's
Yep.
like, I didn't want that connotation. And 2020, God was like, we going to buy a gold chain. What? Why? I don't want to be no hood nigga. I don't want to be no hood nigga. And what I realized and what I had to learn was that through everything that I had been through the ups, through the downs, through the multiple failures and the numerous successes, through the validation, through the sexuality, through the family stuff, through my own shit, what is being black, what is not black, writing these books, creating these magazines, doing all of this with literally no money or little money, just blind faith and
Yep.
walking, you know what I mean? What I recognized was, and what God told me was, you have been tempered into gold. So this gold that I wear does not represent anything other than who I am. Because I am gold.
Your refinement process.
My
That's what I'm talking
refinement.
about.
God has tempered me through its very own blacksmithery. And I have come out gold. My light shines. And so this is why I wear gold. This is why you see me dress the way I dress and act the way I act. This is why we call you Miss
Miss
Royalty.
Royalty, yeah.
This is why, because you have been refined. You have gone through so many trials and tribulations, and you have come out on top every time. Little did you expect it. Because I know I sure didn't expect it. I was like, Lord, here we go again with some more bullshit. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what's about to happen. What the hell? But here I am.
Right.
And I'm gold. And so I happily, at that point, cried, of course, because I was like, oh, shit.
Yes.
What? You know what I mean? Like, I happily now wear my gold because I'm not trying to be anything other than who I am, which is gold and shine bright.
Right.
So, woo. Yay, God. Like, okay, God know what God doing. Okay, little do I know.
Right, you just gotta trust the process.
You just gotta trust. You gotta trust the process and move. You know what I mean? And so, these are lessons. So you talk about what would I say to people who are going through their own journeys? Mm-hmm. One of the main things that I would say is have trust and faith. Have trust and faith in the journey and the process. And have faith in whatever you believe in, whether that's God, whether that's spirit, the universe, Allah, whether you Buddha, whatever you believe in, have faith in that. And have faith in yourself. Like, and trust and be in love. Like, love the process as hard as it is. You know what I mean? Because it's hard. It's hard.
I'm still working on that part right there, but I got you.
Like, it's hard. I ain't gonna hold you up. There has been some times where I'm like, God, I can't do it. I can't stop, turn it up, turn it down.
Right, like, do we gotta be
notches.
Like this? Like,
really?
And for how long?
Really? Like, you want me to do what? Really? You want me to admit what?
Right.
What?
Those confessions, honey. Those confessions. Confessions go both ways, right? We think confession is just how we affirm ourselves, but confession is also admitting when we're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be humbling.
You what? What? That humble. Be humble in the fact that everything you have can be taken away.
Yeah.
That has happened to me now 3 times.
Oh, wow.
3 times in my first when I was 22, then again when I was 26, no, 22, 24, and then at 27. And that's why I don't care about a lot of materialistic stuff. I'm no longer attached to a lot of things because I went for so long without having a lot of things. And I realized that I didn't need things or people to fill me with love and gratitude and abundance. Because even when I didn't have those things, I had everything. I had me, I had my spirit, I had my joy, I had my smile, I had my goofy ass laugh, I had my intellect, I had my funny childlike personality. You know, I still have bits of my naivety. You know what I mean? I still have all of those things that made me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was grateful and humbled because I didn't have anything. And humbled even more when I had to go admit to the people that I was sorry, that I did wrong. When I was writing my first book, there was so many people I had to call and text like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did that. I'm sorry I said that. That's where I was at in my life. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I was immature. I was being a brat. I didn't know how to process my emotions at the time. This is how I grew up. So that's all I knew at the time. And I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like, even just this past year, right? Like at the start of this year, there was somebody who I hadn't talked to in like 2 years. And I was laying in bed. I said, I don't want to go forward in my 30s and not with this baggage, with this energy, without, telling people that I'm sorry or just leaving things, alone. Like if the energy is there that's like, no, don't do that, I ain't gonna do that. But if it's clear and I can go and do that, I'm gonna do that. So I reached out to him on Facebook and I was like, hey, when I stayed with you, I apologize if I came off, if I was in my ego, or if you felt like I was big and bad, and if I disrespected you in your own home, you know what I mean? Like, I apologize for that, you know what I mean? And we hashed that out, and we recognized, he was going through stuff and I was going through stuff. And our shit just collided and it just didn't work out at all. But, time had passed and we both grew and we could come to that understanding that that's who we were, but that's not who we are now. Right. So I guess my sort of final thing is where I'm at in my life right now, especially with writing. I recognize that writing has been an extreme avenue for me to be able to do so much and meet so many amazing people, like not just in Flint, but like across this country, right? And I may not have sold a lot of books, but I know that I've sold books to people who are in Texas, who are in DC, New York, New Jersey, Minneapolis,
Virginia.
LA, Virginia. You know what I mean? Like, I know there are people out there who have my book, and I'm extremely grateful. And now that I just turned 31, a couple days, like last week, and I've been saying this, right? Because I feel 31 is fabulous, y'all. 30s ain't old. Get it together. When I turned 30, I said, and I'm still saying this to this day, and this is also something that I feel would help people no matter what age. I said, in my 30s, I want to take everything that I learned in my 20s and before, all them lessons, all them crying nights, all them lonely nights, all them depressive nights, all them not feeling worthy, not feeling loved, writing all of that down in my journals, in my notebooks, in those books that I wrote, all them projects that I did, them poems, them poems, Lord, the poems. I said, I want to take all of that into my 30s, bigger, better, blacker, bolder, queerer. You know what I mean? I want to live a life that is 100% me in all capacities. I want to love harder. I want to smile brighter. I want to write better. I want to tell greater stories. I want to create grander narratives. Like, I want to fall in love grander and have that experience. I may want to have a kid or two. I don't know. Like, I'm still figuring that out. I know I want one, but I don't know. More than one, I don't know yet. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, now I want to take this into my 30s, and I want to live a life full of abundance and love and freedom.
Oof, yes.
And I understand with that comes a lot of responsibility and, and a lot of trust in knowing who I am. But I'm confident that what I've been through has prepared me for this. And now I recognize that my vehicle in this lifetime is through writing.
Yeah.
That's where who I am comes forth. And that's where you see my magic. That's where you see my power. It's through the written word. Like, when I put pen to paper or my hands get on this keyboard and that shit start flowing through me, y'all better watch the fuck out, because y'all don't even know what's
Expect
happening.
greatness.
Okay, expect
greatness.
and the unexpected, because anybody can write. Let's just make that clear. Anybody can write. But what is the intention? What is the energy? What do you want people who read this? What do you want them to get? And so, because of my life and who I am, it's always about self-reflection. It's always about that. So anything you read, my thing is, I always want this person to go sit down and say, now, how does that reflect about me and my life and where I'm at in my journey? How does this help me? You know what I mean? Or on the opposite side, did this trigger me? And now I need to go excavate why what he wrote about such and such, whether it be his life, somebody else's life, or what's happening, why did that trigger me? Let me go figure out what that is.
Yeah.
That's my goal. And so everything you read, in addition to that is changing the narrative. You know what I mean? One of my favorite lines ever is from this movie called Noah's Ark Jumping a Broom. And she was telling Noah, the main character, she said, "You're the writer of your own life, Noah." And I was like, she was right. She was right. She was right. You know what I mean? And another one of my favorite quotes is from James Baldwin, my favorite writer ever. He said, "Nobody really wants to be a writer, but you somehow find out that you are. And when you discover that, you can be nothing else." Like,
Yeah.
you recognize that that's your calling. And I recognize that writing is my calling. It is the vehicle in which has and will continue to change my life and will continue to affect everybody that it touches. Peace out, y'all.
Yes. So I have a couple comments I gotta read. Robbie Diesel
Okay.
said writing is the best, one of my favorite methods of expression. And then
Amen.
DOP Noble said, yes, reflection and self-awareness are the doorway to self-confidence.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I'm here for all these comments right now. I'm here for it.
Yes. So you gotta spell it out to us again. Tell us what those books are. Tell us where we can find them. Come on. You ain't finna hide no more, cause sir, this will give you all a little
Okay,
bit of context. So
all
I
right.
found out years later that he wrote 2 books. Didn't say anything about it at all. So then when his third one came out, I said, I bet you can promote this one.
So actually, hold on a second. Hold on a second. You go find this
Mm-hmm.
button. All right. Okay. 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 This is the flex. These are all the books that I have self-published and
Are
written.
you serious? I can shoot you.
So since we're here, class is in session, y'all, because I got my degree in teaching. I'm gonna give y'all some tips. All of these you can find on Amazon.com under Xzavier V. Simon. Now I understand a lot of people got problems with Amazon. I get it. But understand this first and foremost. You're not buying something from Amazon and it's going to Jeff Bezos. Okay, and that whole operation. You buying something and it's going to me. I just want to throw that out there.
Support our Black artists, y'all.
Okay, support Black authors, support Black businesses, all of that. So this first one is called One Way Alley. So I wrote this book. This is my first book. I wrote it in 2015. It is a ridiculous narrative about me and the first man that I ever loved. That and our relationship spanned off and on for 10 years.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the mix of all of that is just all of these different relationships because I swear to God, like I broke out with him and you know that phase of just, oh, you going from relationship to relationship trying to find that first love feeling and it was just like, oh my God. Right? So that's what this is. I'm proud of this book, but I'm not proud of this book. I'm proud of this book because I did it. I wrote it. It's here. I love it. Whoop-de-whoop. I'm not proud of this book because it is badly written and it's badly edited. I'm being transparent.
I mean, you can always update it and do a new
I
version.
can. I can. I might. I'm probably going to do a new version. So that's that. So, Oxymoron. This is my favorite book. Now, look at now. As we go, I want y'all to pay attention to these covers because these covers is telling y'all something. Okay, some blackness ahead with stars in space that say "I am God." Okay, it's telling y'all something. Then on the back, it says "I am energy. I am human. I am black. I am bisexual. I am evolving. I am soul. I am love." These are all affirmations on the back of this book. And this book is very dear to me because this book chronicles that spiritual journey, that
Mm.
Black conscious journey, that journey of me questioning my sexuality. Who am I? That journey of trying to find love in all these different relationships and recognizing that I'm not going to find it here. Meeting all of
Mm.
these random people. this book also contains several conversations with God that I have,
Mhm.
expressed in very anime form. Which you're gonna be like, what the hell? And I'm like, yes, but these are literal conversations that I'm having with God. So I love this book because it really showed my progression in writing, right? And I
Okay.
was like, oh my God, like I did the damn thing. Like I really recognized my strength with writing with this. Like I'm a storyteller. I'm not a novelist. I tell
Mm-hmm.
stories. And this book is chock full of stories. So this is oxymoron for y'all. That's the second book. The third book is called 1111. And if you know numbers and numerology, you know what 1111 stands for. It means you are on your path. And so the front and back cover looks like I'm traveling
Mm-hmm.
because in this book, I was traveling. This book is my literal journal from 2017.
Oh, wow.
My literal journal, unedited, with literally
Everything.
everything.
Whew, boy, talk about transparency.
Well, God was like, I'm gonna need you to do that. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I want everybody to know that,
That.
but I guess. And I'm a little embarrassed, but
It's out
you
there.
know, it's out there. And this is my most spiritual book, to be perfect. Like it really highlights like what I was going through in that spiritual journey, like literally all of it. The next one, so this from where I come, so this at the moment, this is my best-selling book.
Okay.
And I thank all of the wonderful people at Georgetown University who bought this book when I met them. That fucked me up because, you know, I come from Flint and nobody was buying books, but everybody was buying Jordans. But then I went to DC and they was like, well, what do you do? I was like, I write books. What do you write books about? Well, I write books about this. Oh, can I go buy it? Yeah, it's on Amazon. Click, 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 bing. And I was like, people do that? Yeah, so
Aw.
this book fucked me up. So this book is a compilation of the first three books
Okay, okay.
because so it's basically like the trilogy all in one. And what I recognized was some people had bought the first book or bought the third book but didn't buy the second book. Or
Uh-huh.
some people bought the third book but didn't buy the first two books. And so I
Mm-hmm.
said, what if I could just combine all of them, sell it in one book, so you can get all three books and not have to worry about it. And again, this turned out to be my most best-selling book at $20. And I was like, so I've been charging myself less than what I probably should be
Mm.
charging myself. That was another thing. So, and I love this book. Shout out to Archie Walker of the Arch Aspect who
Hey.
designed the front and back cover of this. There's his logo down here. Shout out to him. I'm so appreciative. So the next set of books. So these books are called the Colors of Pride collection. These books are from my magazine, The Modern Queer. I turned all of those interviews into a book because people were talking about how could I get a physical copy of the magazine,
Mm-hmm.
but printing costs are so
Mm-hmm.
expensive, and I didn't know a website or anybody that could print it in good quality. So I was like, well, I'm a writer. I've already self-published books. I'm gonna put it in these books. And the caveat for these books are sort of extra incentive to get people to buy these books. These particular books was I asked everybody I interviewed, you can ask me 3 questions. Nothing's off limits because I asked y'all a bunch of questions about y'all life. Nothing is off limits, and I will answer truthfully and honestly. And girl, did they ask me some questions?
Of
They asked
course.
me some questions. So, like, and the back of all of these books are questions that each cast, because I break it up in seasons. So this is season 1, season 2, season 3, and season 4 will come later this year or early next year.
All right.
So they asked me 3 questions, and so that's only in the books. That's not in the magazines. And so for the last set, which I'm so proud about because they just came out and they look so good. These books are called Conversations with Flint. So this is the new book. Shout out to Jim Veloso for taking the photos of me. It's both in paperback and in hardcover. Um, These books are the interviews and articles from my job now as assistant editor at Flint. And so I recognize that I have this amazing ability to tell stories, and people want to tell me their stories, and nobody was really cataloging them, right? And so this was the first time ever in this city that somebody had done something like this, that took these stories of these people and put them in a book form. And I'm like, y'all are now a part of the literary world. And just like with the 3 going on 4, seasons of modern queer books, I'm going to do the same thing with these conversations with Flint books. So like, if you didn't make it in the first book, you're probably going to make it in the second book or whatever. And I love these books first and foremost because this is the first time Amazon was offering hardcover. And baby, these hardcover looks bomb.
And you're on the cover and we can see your face.
Yes. Okay. You know what? I was a little nervous because I had never been on the covers of any of the books before. And you and a couple other people was like, we need to see your face.
Yep.
We need to see who you are. We need to put a face to these things you're doing. And I was like, okay. Okay. And what I find funny, especially with this book, right? Especially with this cover, everybody is like, dude, you look like some boss ass dude who about to just do the damn thing and I should not fuck with you. And I said, really, God, that's how you got people looking at me? It's like, really? And you know what's so funny? God was like, yes. Like, I want you to look like this at this moment in your life.
Serious business, yes.
I was like, we on some serious stuff right now, so you need to look the part. So now, like, this is why you see me, like, not only, dressing like this, but, dressing in particular clothes that I never thought I would wear before. And I'm just like, okay, but it's hot, though. I know I look good. I'm like, oh, shit. So, yes, all of them books are available for sale on Amazon.com under Xzavier V. Simon, Xzavier. You can purchase them. Blase, let me know. I would be so appreciative. But be warned. I just want to warn y'all. They gonna have these, you gonna go for a ride. You're gonna several ride. You might be triggered. You might be like, what the hell? Why am I reading this right now? But you're gonna keep continuing. Why? Because this shit is fascinating. You're gonna be like, did he really go through this? I'm gonna be like, yes, I did. It's all true. Nothing in these books is made up. Nothing. I promise you. I'm a terrible liar. I get in so much spiritual trouble.
We appreciate that. We appreciate your truthfulness.
I get in so much spiritual trouble lying. It don't make no sense.
I understand. I just feel like it hits certain people, right? Like certain people can lie and other people can never get away with lying. I understand. So Robbie Diesel said, promote those books loud and proud. DOP Noble said, oh, you a writer. Okay. Receipts, LOL. And he been holding out. See, this is what I'm saying. This is one of the reasons.
Wearing these glasses.
No, this is one of the reasons why I wanted him to come on the show. Why I wanted you to come on the show. Because there's so much that he has gone through, has to offer, that more people should hear what you have to say. You know what I mean?
Well, I like, again, I appreciate you, and that's why, this is one of the reasons why, I'm inclined to do stuff like this, and why God is like, yes, accept that. For those reasons, like, I recognize that, my life is a template for a lot of different things. And I recognize that my life in a real sort of way can help a multitude of different people, whether it be through live interactions, conversations like this, or through any of the things that I create. I just recognize that the power that holds. And in a real sort of way, like, okay, so the real reason why I don't be talking about a lot of these things is, one, I'm still struggling and trying to reconcile the difference between showboating in just being proud, especially on social media, right? Because I don't want to force it down y'all throat. Like, look at me, look at me, look at these books, look at all I'm doing, right? Right? Okay, Janae. Okay,
Because
I'm about to get in trouble,
it's
y'all.
what you do. All I'm saying is, and I'm not. I don't want to. You see, like when people get married, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows. People get engaged,
This is
everybody
true.
knows.
This is
I
true.
think this is just as monumental as those type of, what they call life milestones.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So why not? Why not be as proud and as loud about these accomplishments as people are about those events in their lives? You know what I mean?
Very true. And I think ever since our last conversation, that has been very, very present in my mind. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like maybe it's okay to show a photo or two of me on the gram. Or,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I can stun a little harder. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
ever since our last conversation, these are things that I've been like, okay, maybe I don't need to be so uptight about this. Like maybe I don't need to be my own worst critic. Maybe just do it and just let it go. And so I've been getting more and more into that mentality of just do it.
Yep.
Just do it. Fuck it. It is what it is.
It is what
If
it is.
motherfuckers want to hate and feel some kind of way, let them hate and feel some kind of way. But I know my intentions of putting this out here on social media and whatnot. And I think Flint side, doing the work for Flint side, and how that has grown for me has even pushed that even further,
Yes.
right? Because I have to promote these people's stories. Like
Yes.
these are other people's stories at this point, right? And so it's not about me, it's about them.
Yes.
It's giving them visibility. And so now I have to go and post. You know what I mean? And
And you never
so
post yourself in the process.
like I sure do. I sure do. And shout out to my wonderful photographers, Xander Brown and Jim Veloso, who be taking the bombest photos, both of them out of queer and for Flint side. Cause I be like, I don't know how y'all be doing
Right.
that for
Those angles
me.
be on point.
What? What? I
On
get
point.
I'm now some people be like, oh, you a real journalist. I be like,
Yes.
listen, this is a teamwork effort. So shout out to them beautiful women because those two are women. And shout out to the women who have helped me along this journey. Like so many women have helped me get to this point. It's ridiculous. Like shout out to all of y'all. It's been a couple men, and I'm gonna say shout out to y'all too. But it's been way, way more women that have helped me get to this point than men, literally. So kudos to you, Miss Royalty. Kudos. We see you out here doing it. See, this is me being a hype man. Kudos to you. We see you out here, Wonder Woman, cosplay, Comic Con superstar. We see all of that.
I respect that. I respect that. I'll take that in. Were there any last words you want to leave us with before we come to an end?
Do. Hold on, because I can't get off. I got to check now. I'm like, I think okay, yeah. I can feel something rising up from the spirit that. Okay. Number one, I'm thankful and appreciative for this entire journey. All glory to Spirit, the ancestors, to the universe, to God, for taking me, molding me into gold, and bringing me here to this point in my life to be able to affect not only my life, but the lives of so many amazing people and to be able to meet so many amazing people. So big ups to y'all. Big ups to you for holding this platform, for doing what you do, for listening and following the spirit that talks to you, to that you doing what you doing. And I'm like, oh shit, look at us out here. Look at these future people. With that being said, everybody goes through things in life. Everybody has hardships. Everybody has days where um, they're not at their optimal.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody
Mm-hmm.
has days where they feel like they need to lean on somebody, they need to call somebody. They may not want to be here. All of that jazz. I don't want to make this cliche, but I guess I'm a cliche kind of guy, so it is what it is. Again, have faith, have trust. Know that somewhere inside of you is a strength that you didn't even know that you had, right? That you can tap into. Understand that you really are truly an energy being having a human experience. And with that, do not lock yourself up in boxes and in titles and in positions or in characters. You are an infinite being. You can be and do whatever you choose to be and do. Literally, not on a when I grow up I can do anything, but I mean on a very spiritual foundational level of who we are on this planet. You know what I mean? Like you can do all of that. You have everything you need to do what you need to do at this time. Don't ever think that you are walking in lack, even though around you it may look like lack. Understand that if you tap into the greater power that is within yourself, you will always walk in abundance. You will always have everything you will need. You will always run into the people that you need to run into to push you to that next level. Always have that trust, faith, confidence within whatever you believe in and within yourself, because it is so, so critical and so, so crucial that you do, because there are so many things in this world that will try to tell you otherwise. There are so many things and people in this world that will try to manipulate you and steal your energy and make you believe that you are something less than and you are something truly phenomenal, truly otherworldly. You just need to tap into it. So sit your ass down, go inside, whether that be meditation, writing, singing, making music, dressing up, makeup, because all of that, when you really think about it, is a very meditative process.
Yep.
But we don't call it meditation, but it's a very meditative process. You know, whatever vehicle you use and what comes through you and that spirit has placed on you to move through, move. Okay? Move. It's gonna be rough. You're gonna be like, I don't know where I'm going. But move. It's a lot of things happening in the world and we just need people to do what they need to do and have to do.
Ooh, yes.
It's way too much going on. Like, don't sit on them ideas, baby. Don't sit on them dreams, honey. Get up, get out, and go do it. You have everything you need. And finally, I love y'all and be in love. Be in love. I don't mean that the cliche, oh, I'm here for love and light. No, because that shit ain't always love and light. Sometimes that shit is dark and gritty. Okay? It is. But move in love, because it's all love, whether it look like something else. It's all love. And I love y'all. Keep it pushing. Keep it pushing. That's it. That's all I want to
I
say.
enjoyed you. I enjoyed you.
I had so much fun.
Everybody who came through, I appreciate you guys. I don't know if I call everybody out. I see Tia the writer, Kevin Hunt,
Hey, Tia.
1977, Gemini P. People that I missed.
What up, Gemini
Mr.
P?
Busy Live, first
Busy.
name _Jesus. Thank y'all so much for showing up.
Yes.
Thank you again, man, for being here. I'm glad
Thank
that you shared your
you.
books with us. I'm glad you shared your story with us. It was. You definitely took us on. You took me on a ride. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna sit here and have my moment of meditation when I'm done with you.
Well,
because I gotta be real with myself about some stuff. But it's okay. I appreciate it.
It is. And listen, I tell everybody this: like, if you need something, if I can be of assistance, let me know. I'm not your God. So don't look to me. And when we had these conversations, I'm telling this to everybody. Don't look to me as God or as your God. I'm just, again, myself, an energy being having a human experience, and my life is just one template of what this. I said today, I'm not gonna call it a journey no more. I'm gonna call it an adventure.
An adventure.
What this adventure can look like and what it can be. So, yeah. Well,
again, thank you. This will be posted, so people who wants to go back and watch it, I will have it on Instagram and I'll upload it onto Facebook as well. But again,
Ooh,
thank y'all for showing up. Thank you for being here, and
thank
y'all enjoy the
you.
rest of y'all evening.
Yes,
And hopefully
enjoy
y'all
it.
see us next week.
Invite me back next time. Invite me
Oh,
back soon. I want to do
absolutely,
this again. This is amazing.
absolutely. You know we're gonna have to connect. We'll connect for sure.
Bye, everybody.
All
Bye, Miss
right, bye,
Royalty.
y'all.